Welcome to Women Building Women. I'm your host, Samantha Letshedi, and this is episode 4, Women in the Workplace. We come from a belief system where women were made to believe they were inferior. And if you take it a step further, I believe that Black women feel that they were even inferior. Over the years, this has become increasingly evident in the workplace, whether it be in corporate or otherwise. There have been whispers about how women of other races or men with similar experiences and qualifications are more of at an advantage when it comes to being remunerated. And that in itself then results in us becoming competitive and in some cases conniving just so that we can get that seat at that table. And unfortunately, in the same breath, we find women in senior positions who are already at that table who are oppressive towards junior women staff. I, for one, have experienced a female in a senior position who has bullied me, and it's something that I will share later on in this episode. But for now, I would love to give both my guests their flowers. Miss Sandra Harris, my fellow accountant. Her and I worked at the same audit firm for 3 years. That's where we completed our articles, a very big audit firm, which I shall not name. And during that time, we faced numerous challenges, sleepless nights, fatigue, and just adversity in general within that workspace. But even so, Sandra just had so much positivity. She really pushed me and encouraged me to just soldier on. That was her favorite term, soldier on, my girl. She encouraged me to keep pushing through each and every obstacle. And I am so grateful that this is the type of woman that I encountered within the workplace and that a beautiful friendship came about. I felt that. And then on my right, we have Dr. Charlene Fotso, who likes to go by Charlene, but unfortunately she introduced herself to me as Charlene, so you are Charlene, boo. Charlene is within the medical or healthcare industry, and her profession includes ensuring the well-being of others, obviously, and saving lives. And I'd like to believe or can imagine that that must be a heavy responsibility that is placed on your shoulders. But even with all of that, everything that she's faced with, she continues to be light and she gives her heart and soul within her job. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining.
Dr. Charlene.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you for having us. Yes. So, first thing I want to find out, have you ever felt inferior when comparing yourself to your peers within the workplace?
Yes. I can't even fake it. Yes. For me, your journey is quite linear at the beginning in terms of your schooling phase. Like whether it's high school or varsity, everyone's at the same point in life. You know, we're in third year, we're all dealing with the same exams and struggles. And then you're thrown into the workforce and all of a sudden you meet your ex-peers and you realize people have special skills, or maybe they came from a varsity that emphasized some things that maybe weren't as emphasized, or people have talents, natural born talents, you know, and I definitely felt that, especially at the beginning of my career, like I think coupled with the imposter syndrome that I think a lot of people feel at the beginning of their journey into the career, the workforce. You feel imposter syndrome, and that coupled with seeing people in the same age group that are excelling in certain fields definitely made me feel a little bit inferior, a little bit insecure. But I think for me, honing in on what do I want from my career? What do I want long-term for myself and from medicine? And accepting that, okay, someone has amazing surgical skills, but do I want to be a surgeon? you know? And that kind of helped me come back to myself and therefore not focus so much on other people. As much as I respect how amazing you're doing, definitely, and all your flowers for that. But being able to sit down and say, what do I want for myself and what are the skills and the things that I need to develop for that helped me navigate that. But that was definitely a struggle. Yes.
I think it's true to a lot of us. Firstly, again, thank you for having us. We love what this platform is putting out there. So I think it's going to be a good session together. And to that first question, I have actually, and during our articles, right? And I think as you go on in life, especially if you're growing, every time you grow, you step into an untapped field, something you haven't come across. So there's always the people who've been there, then that can make you feel very little about yourself. But then sometimes also, because our journeys are different, like you said, we're coming from different fields or places that we studied, different levels. So for me, it came through in our articles whereby I had to start my career journey whereby I was studying and working at the same time, meaning that I was still studying, whereas other people are joining us and they have studied, they've gotten the qualifications. So sometimes without even knowing it, just happen subconsciously, you start thinking that, oh, these people have the qualifications. Perhaps they know more than me. Who am I to say this is the way to go? And then I see it start just crippling in my thoughts, thinking, maybe someone has a better idea. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't be the one suggesting it. So practically so, it has come in that way where someone is ahead. And there'll always be someone better. There'll always be someone that knows more than you or studied at a better institution. But like you said, it's about also knowing yourself and what you bring to the table. And I know Sam didn't ask us about the solution, so I'll just focus on the problem for now. But yes, I have faced it. I am.
Thank you for that, Sans. It's not a problem adding the solution. It is very much welcome. I think for me, what I experienced is a certain company that I worked at before, Sandra, and you know the story, if you still remember. And at that company, also just bringing it back to, the racial aspect of it and feeling inferior. I was the only Black female who was the superstar within the company, right? And then this girl joins a year later who is a bit younger than me and a Black young lady who is just as much of a superstar. And she reminded me of myself so much. And a part of me felt like, Sam, you're not going to get that shine or the light or the praise anymore. It's going to be shared with this girl. And I remember in the beginning, I felt a bit off towards her, but I had a little chat with myself. I said, no, just get to know her and let's see where this goes. And the more we were placed on the same clients and she was assisting me with work, and even when I was on leave, I knew that I don't have to worry about anything. I know that girl has got it because she gives in 100% the same way that I do. That gave me so much comfort. And I was like, actually, it is great having two superstars because we get to work together and it lessens the load. So that was like my light bulb moment. So no more feeling inferior.
Yes. And also there isn't only room for one. Like there doesn't have to only be one Black superstar in the building.
Yeah, true. So one thing I've had a challenge with though is I remember even from article days, I was usually an audit senior within my third year. And the trainees that were reporting to me were around about the same age as me, if not maybe a year older than me. And because of that, there was a certain level of disrespect. It was subtle, but it was there. So firstly, they would give the bare minimum in terms of their work. I would have to spoon feed them every step of the way. There were always excuses about them not making it to work. One day it's this, the next thing it's that, and they're absent. But I should just be okay with it because I'm like, well, to them, they saw us as all buddy because we're on the same age level. And it's something that I really struggled with as to how do I manage my peers, because I'm on a higher level and we're the same age, and Black people have this whole, we respect you based on your age type of mentality. So I've really had a huge struggle with that. So I want to find out from you guys, do you have any juniors reporting to you? Do they have any expectations of you guys being lenient towards them? What is their general attitude towards you guys, and how do you deal with those situations?
So I'll focus on the now and the past. Currently, I don't have any direct reports, and I thank the Lord for it. I love people.
So thanking the Lord.
I love people. I really love people. But work, having people report into you is another thing. And I think I'm going to step into that season because I like imparting knowledge. So it's something that one day will come. But at this point, I don't. But funny enough, in the role that I have to get people that are senior than me, different levels, to deliver on stuff. So they might not be direct reports, but the art and maneuvering through having people that are senior and executives having to deliver stuff is a training ground on its own. What I've had in the past is someone older than me that was reporting to me, and sure, it's not easy. It's not easy. Like you said, it's a Black thing, but I don't think it's only us as Black African people, because it wasn't a Black African person but who had to report into me. And they do have that thing that, okay, they've been in that role for longer. Who are you to step in and try to tell them what to do? Mind you, this is part of the job. We all signed up for this, we said we're going to do this. But I think exactly, we have to deliver. But I think when it comes to people, relationship management, there is a way to do things. Like you said, they see it, there's disrespect, but then also I am a firm believer in teaching people how to treat you. So it's also up to me to take up that role, because once you're in a position, there's certain expectations to it. And if I take up that role of mine with maturity, first of all, because maturity isn't about age. So just because I'm younger than you doesn't mean I don't have the mindset and intelligence to take on that role. So I had to see myself for the position that I've taken on and actually treat the people I work with in that way. Not think inferior or little of myself, like, oh, I'm so young, can you please do this? But remember that I am also fulfilling a position and a role. So when I make these requests, let me make them from that role and that place of respect and maturity as well. And over time, they started to learn how to treat it and seeing beyond the age, that it's not just because she's younger than us. She has a certain role. She is mature in that. And the way there's that mutual respect, because whatever age a person is, at the end of the day, we are human and we have a way of working. So that's what helped me over time. And that's what still helps me now without direct reports. The way I engage with them, it's always that reminder that I am playing my role here. I'm playing my part. I'm human. I'm going to respect you, but let's deliver.
This is how you are when you're around me. This is how you speak to me.
There'll be friction, but over time, you really do teach people how to treat you.
Talk to me nice.
That's my experience.
I like that. Yes. I currently, so this is a new thing for me. As of this year, I've had to have people below me reporting to me. And before it was people asking for my advice, the people below me, but now they actually report to me and I give them orders. And it was a struggle. One, I struggled to relinquish control, to be able to say, I'm giving you this order and I'm trusting you to do it well. And I'm not going to go back and check that it's done properly. But at the end of the day, when I give the report that this is done, I'm also trusting that you did it. And that for me was a struggle. But in terms of them expecting leniency and them being able to understand the authority, that was also a struggle. I really liked how you focused on carrying yourself in a certain way and therefore setting the boundary or the tone of how things are going to be. Definitely, I think for me, my problem is, so in my workspace, I work with different people every day and it's quite intimate. You're asking people about their behaviors, the things that they do privately, the things that you wouldn't normally share. Most people don't normally tell their friends like, hey, I have diabetes, So I like to carry a soft and almost relatable disposition to myself. And I think I naturally have that. And I think that does help me to get people to open up and feel comfortable, because I think people have this idea of the doctor's office as very, So that being said, it has my subordinates. Oh, I hate that word. Oh, subordinates. But it has them thinking that we
sound like Hitler.
You will submit. But it has the people who are junior to me feeling like we cool. Because I'm trying to be, I'm trying to break the barriers and make my patients and everyone in the workplace feel comfortable. We're working long hours. We basically see each other for who we are. So let's see each other as people, not necessarily be a family, but let's, and it has people thinking that we're cool. And I've had a couple hiccups with that. And it was a struggle at first, but I think for me, I learned to assert my authority. At the end of the day, I'm a professional and I want to carry myself in a certain way. And as much as how relatable I am, at the end of the day, I'm at work with my patients, with my colleagues, we're at work, we're professional right now. Certain things we do not engage in. And for me, my biggest help was making sure I involve another senior. So understanding that as much as I'm senior to this person, I'm not the most senior person in this department. This person does not only answer to me, they answer to other people that are more senior. And therefore, getting the advice of someone who's more senior to you, or even just getting them in on the situation, not only gives you the backing that someone else was involved, but therefore then you can also sit down and say, okay, this person is going to discipline them, because me going back and forth with this person trying to reiterate my authority, the Hitler moment, is just going to make me look bad. Now I'm bickering with the juniors. So I've definitely had to learn where's my place and where do I sit down and let it be. But at the same time, like you said, set the tone.
Yeah. So I initially asked how you feel in comparison to your peers. And I want to find out, have you experienced any feelings of animosity or hostility from your peers? And before you guys get into that, I just want to share a story of something that happened to me. Sandra's laughing because she knows. So back in our olden days, there was a young lady who didn't like me. Firstly, at the time, I didn't even know her name. We had never worked on any clients together, nothing. We never worked directly together. We were just in the same audit firm. And we used to have certain events at the firm, and afterwards they would print out photos, which would be like, put up on the walls or elevator and whatever. Okay. Like it was like nice, pretty photos of the event. So there was one particular picture that had myself, I think Sandra was in it, Amanda's another friend of ours, and a couple of other people. And they put it in the elevator. Sounds like a Jay-Z, Solange, Beyonce kind of story. I get in the elevator in the morning because I was always one of the first people to get to work. I'm such a morning person. I get there. Well, lately I haven't been, but
we know you.
I get in.
OCD.
The first thing I see is my face has been like scratched in the photo. Somebody, I don't know if they used the scissor or what, but my face has been scratched. Yes. Scratched, and Amanda's as well. So the two of us. Okay. And then there's my hem going around. People talk. People will know that it must have been smang because this person has been saying this about you, or this person believes this and that about you.
Why does she know you?
So then, you know what?
Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So then I find out who it is. And it was her and the friend, apparently, who did that. So now we have another event. That day, I go upstairs. They're upstairs. I walk to the both of them. And I'm like, I know one of you scratched my face in the elevator, my photo. So clearly there's a problem. I don't know you guys on that level, but let's talk about this. What exactly have you heard that I have done which you do not like, so we can just hash this out? And they're like, oh no, what are you talking about? Like when people are denying, but even the denial of it is so fake, and nothing was cleared up. And I remember, I think about a year later, the girl added me on Facebook. And I was thinking to myself, girl, you don't like me. Why are you adding me on Facebook? But also, it's like the story behind it basically had to do with a guy, of which I had nothing to do with that man. So it's not even direct workplace shenanigans in terms of, we're being competitive because we're fighting for this position, etc. But just like nonsense. And I believe there are other many examples. So I just want to find out from you guys, have you experienced any type of animosity or hostility from your peers in the workplace?
It's not over, man.
Sure. I don't have.
You don't have.
Not like that, unless I'm blind to such.
The gods, the ancestors have blessed you, baby.
So I think you can best to take this one.
Again, not over a man, but yeah, I have. If I have to unpack the story, the first time I dealt with this was, again, we weren't fighting for any positions. So I was in internship. This is the first month. And we had a roster, which was like, would dictate when we're going to do a night shift or a call, right? First month, a senior made the roster. Halfway through the first month, she contacts me separately and says, hey, I want you to draft the roster. And then you will send it to me. I'll edit it and I will post it. But I need help with the roster. But don't tell anyone else because you can't make everyone happy at the end of the day, you know? So I'm new to this. I've never done this before. So I didn't. And she told me not to tell anyone. So I didn't tell anyone. When fast forward 3 months later, there were problems with the roster. People now are complaining to her about the roster. This is the roster that she edited every month. And I made sure I wasn't favoring myself. I was actually doing the most amount of calls out of everyone. So I was doing the most hours of overtime, and overtime is capped as in after a certain amount they don't pay you, so we were just working, and then when they started complaining to her and it got to a point where we couldn't fix it because it's now the last month of our time in that department, we can't really change things. Tell me why it comes out that I made the roster. So now we're beefing for the rest of the year because I made the roster and I was putting people in positions. And it was hard. It was really hard and awkward because I tried to explain to them that she told me not to tell anyone. And it was my first day at work. I didn't know what to do. But yeah, definitely animosity from my peers. It just went going forward. But I mean, we pushed through and we're not there anymore. We thank God. But yeah, it's not cute.
And not necessarily.
Yes, it's really not. I think what was even worse for me, you know, with peers, I could sort of handle it. I don't know. Girls gonna hate, man. They gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. But I think what I could not take was when the animosity came from someone in a senior position. And I did mention in the beginning of this episode that I was a victim or felt the wrath of a bully. And just to give you an example, it's the one example that I love to give because it's so engraved in my mind. That day, I can see it to this day. I still remember what I was wearing, what shoes I was wearing, her footsteps as she was walking down that path. Like, I remember it like it was just yesterday. So this woman, she was a senior manager, and I was on, I think, about two of her audit clients. And she then later on became a director as well. So I don't know, she just didn't like me from the beginning. But so this one day, I'm standing at the printer, I don't know, I'm printing, whatever. And we had an open type of office space and we had like little cubicles, you know, as little trainees in our cubicles, like like those cheap labor Chinese kids. And the big people had their offices. Why did you sorry, Chinese people. So she's walking down and there's this because also like that lady made sure that when she walks you hear her and you feel her presence. Like she demanded all the attention.
Magnificent vibes.
Yes. And she's over there. I'm there by the printer. She's like, hey, little girl, what type of shoes are you wearing? We pay you enough money to afford to buy better shoes. I could just feel you know when you feel people's chairs go back so that they can look up to see what type of shoes are you wearing? Wow. It was so embarrassing. And that is just one example of how she would treat me and the things that she would say to me. I remember every time I was on her audit clients, I would have anxiety every morning going to work because I didn't know what was going to happen next. And I remember I used to pray that she wouldn't come to the client on certain days, because obviously like our type of charges of billing was based on the time that you spend at the client. So someone at her level, if she were to spend X amount of hours at the client, then we would charge more. So she'd make sure that she's not there every day. So I just pray like, okay, this week, even if she comes just once, God, please see me through. And that was my problem throughout my 3 years of articles, to the point where I spoke up about it to another director in the firm.
Good.
And they tried to address it. But the thing is, because of her type of connections at the firm, HR was a bit scared of her, and it wasn't really solved. And then after she found out that I reported her, she became even worse. So I couldn't wait for articles to be over and just get signed off so that I don't have to face that anymore. So that brings me to my next question. Have you felt those same feelings of animosity and hostility, but from someone who is in a senior position?
Have you, Miss Blessed by the gods, golden child?
Trust me, my journey hasn't been perfect, because we were having a discussion before this. Because I have these tough seasons, and I think the work, the field that we work in is very tough and stretching, because we have tough deadlines, and tough deadlines tend to bring out the worst in people. So I've kind of related the tough times to that. Yes, people are not perfect. And I've had a case whereby I've had a senior manager whereby they that's the type of person they were. And I say that because, and I realized that in hindsight, mind you, this was not the Sandra speaking on the other side when I was receiving that. But in hindsight, I realized and unpacked this. And as I became more aware of the type of people that we deal with, I saw that, okay, this is who she is and how it's happening with different people. But obviously, we'll all have our own experiences with those people. Hence, you had yours. But with mine, it was also that personality trait whereby there's just that way. That's the only right way. When I'm being addressed, it sounds like, okay, I'm being attacked. Like, why are we fighting? And the type of person that I am, I'm always, positive. Life is not perfect, but you try to bring some light. So I came with that energy, but it was just met with that energy of, yeah, do this, do that. This is not right. And there's always a way to say something is not right. And I then later realized there's personality tests, and those personality tests help in life, right? There's this one called the DISC, whereby there's the red, green, blue, yellow, and there's those red people who it's white or black, it's right or wrong, and they don't have time for the fluff. And I do have time for the fluff. I'm a yellow person, so I'm all about the bigger picture. Like, oh, what value am I adding? How are we changing these balance sheets today? This audit is going to change this company. But they were not about that life. So you can imagine now, I think those are opposite spectrum personality traits, and I had to work with them. So my energy, I didn't feel like it was received well, and it made work very hard, because every day I knew that I have to interact with that person, and they're going to look down on this and that, or when something is not right, and I don't want to take this energy and now pass it on to everyone around me. So one thing that really helped me that season in my career journey is that I was blessed to have a mature lady that I was working with who I would share these experiences with. So she was also experiencing it, and at that point we'd come back together and be like, but why is this happening? And she had a good mind in her where we would bounce it back with, okay, but this is how I'm going to respond. Oh, this is what happened. How do you think? Why is this happening? And I think that helped me a lot, because I wouldn't just react to that. If someone was that mean to me, and like, mind you, in articles, we're still figuring out our career personalities and all of that. So if someone were to do that to me in that field, I had that person to bounce it off with. Just come in with some emotional intelligence, which, okay, I don't really like this.
Support.
I really do not like this, and this is how it's affecting me and how I show up at work. And I came to a point whereby I was able to also, tell them that, okay, this is how I work. It didn't change them, but we had a better working relationship
You
from
asserted
that.
your boundaries.
Exactly. And you know, life wasn't perfect, but I showed up each day and I was like, I'm not going to let that person and that personality just ruin it for me. I'm gonna get what I'm supposed to get in this season and go out. And we still face it. Funny enough, I face it in my workplace now, right? But it's that thing, that training ground. For me, articles, the first places that I worked at, it's like they were preparing me for what I face now. So when I face that hostile environment in today's age, somewhere I'm just like, I've been through the worst. I'm not going to let this affect me.
Exactly.
I am not going to, and I get out of that con and we've just been, gotten the worst. I will get out of it and be like, what? You take your red personality or whatever it is. I'm going to do me. I'm going to get what I'm supposed to get.
You're going to be yellow girl.
You know what it is.
Yes.
Shy.
I love when you spoke about how you and this other young lady were sharing your experiences and how to deal with things. And I actually read something this morning. I took a screenshot and it's a tweet where someone is asking, are work friendships a thing? And then someone responds, sometimes the greatest friends are made when you've both suffered together under the regime of a ruthless dictator.
Hey!
Hitler.
Relatable.
Yes. Silent repost.
Sure, have you experienced anything within those lines?
Yes. And I love how you just took it to people have different personalities. And in the workplace, you're always going to be exposed to different kinds of people. And you shouldn't take it personal. But in the beginning days, you do take it personal. It hurts. Like, why are you coming with my shoes? Are the shoes necessary? Like, why is it
that time? Those shoes were from Cotton On, my girl.
But I beg, what is the reason? Like, is this relevant to our work or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you get people like that are they just don't like you. They'll just find a reason to pick on you. They'll find whatever reason it is. And I definitely had someone like that. And I don't work well under that kind of environment. This person would hover over me and be like, you should have finished that 10 minutes ago. And why aren't you done yet? And if this was a real emergency, the patient would have died by now. And it's bringing up my anxiety. So now I'm making stupid mistakes and I'm shaking, I'm panicking. This is my beginning phase. I'm supposed to be learning. You're supposed to be supporting me. But instead you are this helicopter of a superior. And yeah, I wish I had addressed it. I wish I had a support person like you, or even just the confidence to address it. Now, definitely, I'm someone who addresses things. But in that moment, I remember people watching because she would pick on me specifically. Like if we were working together, I was under her wing and I was her handbag and we were doing this together and she was on me. Everyone else was having an okay time. But I just got through it. I wish I had said something because people would witness it and not say anything either. But now I'm stronger and now I definitely know that, addressing things in a respectable manner and having that conversation also asserts boundaries and shows confidence. And even no matter how junior you are, you're allowed to tell people how you want to be addressed. We're in the workplace. Yeah. This is not a personal thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So if you had, do you want to add on?
Yes, I like how Charlene said, now I'm stronger. Because what tends to happen is that some people don't come out stronger, but they come out exactly the same.
Yes.
And that's the worst part. They're like, this is how it works in corporate. This is whichever field you work in, be it entertainment, they're like, okay, if something has been done to me, let me do the same to others.
And you pass on that generation.
Exactly. And it's not necessary because now the same way you felt about that person, people are going to feel that about you. And you like it worked for them, but it's supposed to make you stronger and you're supposed to turn it around and use it for the better.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, we all have a choice. You're going to let that stick and define who Sam is, or you're going to make it work in your favor. Yeah.
And I was just going to add, there's a difference between hierarchy and ego. You must know when, is it hierarchy or is it your ego that's speaking?
Yeah. Yes.
Because yes, you're superior, but where are you coming from right now, baby? No, honestly, the shoes, I'm still a bit touched about it, but it's okay. Shoes.
Right? So if you had the opportunity back then to let this person know how they made you feel and give them advice in order to treat others that come after you better, what would you tell them?
One, I would start with, I actually really respected this person. This woman was a superstar at what she did. She was incredible. She was amazing. And I respect her. And maybe she saw potential in me and that's why she chose me. Who knows? But when you're a learner and you're coming from a place of you want to be mentored or taught, positive reinforcement always works better than negative reinforcement.
Yes.
There's literally studies about it,
Yeah.
So come from a gentle place where you can say, hey, this is good, but I'd prefer it that way. Give someone a chance to sit back and actually do their job so that you can evaluate. You know what I mean? Just have a bit of a gentler approach, especially if you're working in a hospital. Like, not every hospital has interns. So that this hospital is going to have juniors that are learning and in that foundation phase. So this is your everyday. So either have a teaching approach or work somewhere where you don't have learners and students. But I mean, that's a bit dramatic. But I would definitely like to just come to her and be like, honestly, with all due respect, I think you're incredible at your job and I look up to you, I respect you, but I just wish you had a softer approach and understood that you were dealing with someone who is trying to learn, Yeah.
And Sandra, what about you? Because I mean, you said you spoke to this other younger lady, obviously on the same level, and you guys shared
older, actually.
Oh, older. Yes, and you guys shared ideas or ways on how to get over that, but it wasn't directed towards the actual person who was inflicting all of this. So what would you say to that person?
I think back then and in any situation now, I think I would remind them, and I think we all need that reminder. A lot of people do well in it, but in work, right, we are still working with people and we can tend to take the people part of it out, but we can't take it out. I think that was the problem, and it tends to be a constant in every field whereby people tend to forget that we work with people. That emotional intelligence, people skills is still going to play a key. Yes, we're all about the work and delivering, but if you can't address people fine, it's going to be a problem. And sometimes we tend to think because we report to people, they don't have areas where they can grow, but they do. Sometimes, you lead without a title, and bringing that to light, I think, would benefit a lot of us. Find a way where we don't disrespect them, but telling them that people's skills is still important. The way you address us can bring about a result that's even greater for you. Working under someone that really values people can make you do even more. But when you have that dictator or someone that's all about the numbers, the work, you tend to do what you should do, but you don't go that extra mile. And I've seen where I've had superiors or reporting to someone who cared about people, I would go the extra mile. So I would remind them of that we are people, we are human. Let's see that and let it work in our favor.
Positive reinforcement.
I can relate. In as much as I had this woman who made me terrified and anxious about going to work every morning, there was a specific senior manager and her clients. I would look forward to going to all of those clients and I'd just be like, you know what? I am going to do my best today because I want to make her proud because she's there for me. She's helping me within my growth process. Like, she drove me to doing better because she was treating me better.
Exactly.
And so I want you guys to share your experiences that you've had, like positive experiences with senior women in the workplace. And I know, Shah, you have shared with me off the record about an amazing woman who is your mentor. So would you love to share a bit about that?
Oh, guys, my mentor. Yes. So I met this woman recently, earlier this year, and she met me when I was in a hard place. I was very overwhelmed with work. I was reaching the point of burnout. And she noticed that, and instead of seeing it as this person is slacking, she needs to pull up her socks, she actually pulled me aside and said, hey, what's going on? How can I help? And since then, she's been close to my heart. And going forward, she's so willing to help me, whether it's giving me pointers and skills for the next job. She's, as I said, taken me on as her mentee. She's my mentor. And she's someone who wants to see me grow and wants to see better for me. She doesn't see it as a competitive thing. And she herself is very accomplished. But she's chosen to, you know, impart that onto others and not make it a competitive thing of this person's going to take my position. And I think that's so mature and big of her, and I'm honestly just so blessed to have her. Like, I'm not even working in her department anymore, but I've just loved visiting her, and you know, just man, I'm so grateful for that woman. So I think we need more women and just more people in the workplace that are willing to share, you know, and know that you're passing it on to the next generation. It doesn't take anything away from you. If anything, that person's going to respect you and grow better, and you're going to have better people in the workforce because you're sharing your greatness.
So true. Yes, I've had.
You've obviously had, Sam.
Golden child.
If you walk the mile in my shoe, you'd see that it's not always been golden.
I'm sorry, I'm teasing.
I'll find the gold. You know what? I'll fight to find the gold. And
minor. Sorry.
Because my man is
I'm making exactly going in. And you know what? When you ask this question, Sam, I'm thinking that sometimes it doesn't even have to be someone higher than you, but a person that has really impacted your journey positively. Because I'm thinking of my peers and then also above me. And sometimes the people who are coming behind you also inspire you. But with my peers, I'd say that let's not take for granted the relationships that we build at work.
Yes.
You know, I knew Sam from varsity, but the fact that I got to work with her and all the close friends that we had in articles, that held us up. Because I'd come and vent and be like, yo, this is what I'm facing. And you'd always be like, let's soldier on. We're going to do this. So that played a role. If I didn't have those kind of friendships, it would have affected me because now I just have to deal with everything myself. So I think even in that, let's not wait to get into leadership positions or wait for a leader to affirm you and encourage you. But let's see it also within our peers. I had it in my past workplaces. I had it, shout out to Sis Tips, in my previous workplace. And the people that I have now, fantastic friends that we get to encourage each other. Let's unpack this and understand it. But also from the top, I've also seen it. And from the top, it's easier to see because obviously they are pulling us up. And in a case whereby I didn't directly report to this director, but because I saw so many things that I could learn from her, the attributes and all of that, I was like, I'm going to reach out. And I randomly reached out, and the feedback that I got, and from the session that we had together, right? I like it when people share their personal stories and their journey, because from someone's journey, the process that we get out of it, we learn so much, and that impacted me positively. But also what she did after that, really, it shed some light that there's hope out there. You know, when they say people mention your name in rooms that you are not in, that's literally what she did. So that, because she did say that, make sure that you are stepping out, and I also make sure that wherever, you know, I'm seated at the table, and I can make the table wider for more women, more young people, more people who want to be people of value and add that value. And she did exactly that. Whereby I thought it wasn't necessary, I helped on a task, and she copied me in the people that were helping in that task. And it might be a small thing. I'm very sentimental in nature. It might be a small thing, but I see it because now you are bringing my name into a room. Yes, it might not realize now, but one day, and it's always about the bigger picture. One day it's going to materialize and it's going to bring something more. And even on this platform, Sam, you've once asked us, what is woman building woman? And I said that women are nurturers. And we need to realize that about ourselves, that you have this power to bring out the best in others. And her doing that is bringing out the best in me, because now I show up differently. I realize that actually I can add more value. And that's what friends also do for us. They nurture that potential to be realized, and we can actually walk in our full potential. So I appreciate those people. They really have done the most. I love it.
Damn, yes, Sam.
Yes, baby.
You mentioned leadership, and you could have already covered it in that brilliant answer. But in case you have anything to add on, what type of woman in leadership do you aspire to be, especially in setting an example for women in junior positions?
So I like I said, I saw so much of me in that lady, but I also want to be that leader, the leader that brings about, firstly, a leader that is impactful and influential, not typical influencer, but influential in the way that I want to drive a narrative that lets other people believe in themselves. One thing that I believe in a lot is resilience and hope. We have to be resilient to push through the animosity, all these negative things. And that's what our generation is blessed with in our country. You know, we have this resilience. We need to push through. And I hope that can be a message for anyone to know that if they're under my leadership or if they get to encounter me in any way, they can see that I need to push through. I need to push through the adversity, but also have hope to understand that me pushing through, I'm not just meant to survive what I'm going through and make it to the end, but it's meant to make me stronger so that I can get to the next level. Because we all deserve a healthy working environment. We deserve it, right? So if we can push through and get to that point and be the ones who create it. So I'd like to be a person that is impactful and influential, and also now by the impact opening up opportunities for other people. Once you get your seat at the table, make it bigger, but make it bigger by allowing them to gain the competence. Because sometimes as people, we want shortcuts, we don't want the process, but I want people to realize that competence is needed. And once we open up the table, then you bring the ladder down, let other people develop the competence, get the resilience, and be hopeful to reach a point where they can thrive.
Ooh. Ooh.
How you gonna follow that, girl?
I mean, at this point, just mute my mic. Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras.
Come through, Charlene.
We're done. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
I know you got something. Give it to the people.
In addition to everything that you said, all the amazing points, because wow.
Y'all are being dramatic.
No, it's actually
when
getting
I get
hot
to
in
that
here.
point.
And the voice is giving. Okay. The only thing I would add is, especially in the context of juniors, I want to, as much as I still have my authority, as much as I still set my boundaries, I want to be someone that is a safe space. This is a learning environment. Come to me if you want to ask a question. Come to me if you're unsure and feel comfortable enough to do that, you know? I've had seniors where I've asked questions and they're like, you should know that. And they didn't help. Or someone said, find a YouTube video, you should know that. Literally. And this is, hello, you know? So I think I don't want to be the senior that is bullying you, or even outside of bullying, there's some people that must assert their authority in such a way that you can't even look at them in the eye for too long. No, I'm not saying I do not want to be an authoritative. I'm not saying I do not assert myself, but it needs to be a safe space, especially with juniors. We need to be able to bring each other up in a way that's, you know, pushing you. When you do well, tell someone they did well, because that little boost of, oh my gosh, you did amazing with that. It brings them up, like it does something for you. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to be that space. Definitely. That's in addition to all the
you can be my manager.
Ooh. Why was that kind of hard?
I love that. Thank you for all these awesome answers. And I always say that each and every question that I ask in each episode is not only for my guests, but for my viewers as well, because I'd really love for women to do that self-introspection, which makes them better women to other women. And that's the whole point of Women Building Women. So 100%. I hope that each and every one of you continue to strive being the woman behind Women Building Women.